Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all an update to my Cardfight Vanguard Overdress Alchemagic Zorga deck profile for post-awakening of Chakrabarthi. With the latest set 4 set, we were given a lot of good support for the Zorga deck. This support focuses on a grade 2 that gives us countercharge power and a bunch of new orders, which is the main focus of the Alchemagic deck, to at the same time bind a order from your drop zone when you activate one on the field and activate both of those different orders. Where normally you would be limited to the once per turn option, for the orders you get 2 thanks to the Alchemagic of Zorga. It's more of a Grand Blue-like type of deck, so if you were a fan of Grand Blue from the older Vanguard, this is definitely the deck for you. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the grade 0, we're using Dream Nibbling as our starter, just the standard. When wrote upon, if you went second, draw a card. For our grade 1, we're running Rancor Chain. On the Vanguard circle, once per turn, Soul Blast 1, draw 2 cards, choose up to 1 order card from your hand, discard it. If you do not discard, choose 2 cards from your hand and discard them. So it gives you options for the draw power, especially going second. You'll draw 1 off of Dream Nibbling and then 2 off of Rancor Chain. And you're able to call this card to the rear guard from the drop zone thanks to cards like Zorga. So its rear guard skill is if you played an order this turn, it gets plus 2,000 power, making it a 10k attacker or booster. The grade 2 is Black Tears Husk Dragon, having the same option for a plus 5 power on rear guard, but also when placed on Vanguard, choose up to 1 normal order from your drop zone and put it into your hand. So the card you discarded off of Rancor Chain can be added back to your hand thanks to Black Tears Husk Dragon, with our grade 3 being Mysterious Rain Spiritualist Zorga. It's your main go-to card for Alchemagic with it, and also being a good card to run as the backup Persona Ride option. So we're running 3 more additional Zorga. And also, when you would play a normal order, you can bind a normal order with a different card name from your drop zone and Alchemagic. This is the combine costs and add the effects to the back. So with that, you have the option for the 2 different orders you run from your drop zone and when you activate it from your hand. And like I said, 3 just helps to build up soul for Zorga, and also just to give you more and more power plays with the Persona Ride. For the other grade 3 we are running in the deck, I'm running 2 of the new Roaming Prison Dragon. From the drop zone, when you play a normal order, you may call this card to rear. If you called this card, perform one of the following. If it was Alchemagic, perform all of the following instead. This unit gets plus 10,000 to end of turn, and it gets critical plus 1 to end of turn. So it's just an option to call from the drop zone onto the field. It does have 5,000 power, but if you Persona Road, it's another plus there. And if you want to Alchemagic, you'll get both the critical and the plus 10, putting this card at 25,000 alone. If you use some other orders like Grief, Despair, Rejection, that just adds on to more and more of the power. I only run 2 though, because you can easily set it up in the drop zone with cards like Henrina, and then you only need the 2 on the field. If not, you'll have another grade 2 option or a grade 3 option on the field, and then just be able to call the one that is in the drop zone. Moving on now to the grade 2s. I'm running 3 Henrina. This was always a 4 of in my deck, but with some of the other grade 2 numbers, I decided to drop it down just for more of the drop zone setup. When placed on rear, you may discard 3 cards from the top of your deck. And on rear guard, you may retire this unit until the end of the turn. The next time you would Alchemagic an order and play it, you may choose not to pay all of that cost Soul Blast. Very, very useful, since there's a good number of cards in this deck that do require a Soul Blast, and that can easily eat away at the soul for this deck. And then if your opponent, let's say you call this card back with cards like Turquoise on the field, thanks to the Prison deck, minusing its power, you can at least retire it and clear up another zone for you to call out a Unit 2 with Zorga. The other grade 2 new one that I am running from set 4 is Clipping Dragon of Soul Revolution. At the end of your turn, if you Alchemagic an order and played it, or attacked a total of 5 more times this turn, put this unit into your soul and countercharge 1. So it'll build up soul power and also counterblast power, because you do eat up the counterblast quite a lot, whether it be with Mysterious Rain Spiritualist Zorga or your Grief, Despair, and Rejection. We do have a way to prevent counterblast, but having just an option to build up soul and countercharge is really, really needed with the deck. So that's why I like running 3 Clipping Dragon of Soul Revolution. You can use the counterblast to call it back from the drop with Zorga, and then after it attacks and you Alchemagic, just place it into the soul, and you have your costs and resources built back up. The last grade 2 I run is 2 Shadow Cloak. Just running 2 of this card. When it's placed on rear from hand, search your deck for up to 1 other card order card, reveal it, and if your drop zone does not have a card with the same card name as that card, discard the revealed card, and then shuffle your deck. So you have the option to search your deck for it and reveal it and put a different order in your drop zone for you to then have the Alchemagic ready to use with that card in the drop zone. Very, very good for the search. I was depending on the numbers. I thought maybe 3 Shadow Cloak and then 2 Cell Revolution, but it's real player preference at that point for what you want to run in the grade 2 lineup. And then also having the option for its second rearguard skill when you play an order, Soul Blast 1, and this unit gets plus 5,000 to end of turn. If it's Alchemagic, you can choose one of your other rearguards or return to your hand for some of the recycle power with cards like Henrina once again. And that's it for the grade 2s. Moving on now to the grade 1s. This is the one that helps with the counterblast reduction for Alchemagic, and that is Rogue Headhunter. If you played an order this turn, it gets plus 5,000 power on rear. And when this unit is placed on rear, the next time you would Alchemagic and order and play it this turn, reduce that cost counterblast. So with that, you reduce the total cost. Very, very useful card. Being able to just save the counterblasts for Zorga alone, and then not have to use any of them for when you activate your own Alchemagic on the field. The last grade 1 that I run on the deck, we can have Rogue Headhunter be the best booster and attacker, just having the plus 5 power when we Alchemagic. So the last grade 1 spot is Plenar Prevent Dragon, just being the Sentinel of choice, since if you only have one other card in your hand, you don't have to pay the discard cost when guarding with it, and potentially it can also be the other Sentinel in your hand to block another one of your opponent's attacks that you do not want to hit. Now moving on to the orders, with it being a big part of Alchemagic, we are running a pretty good number of them. Our main go-to one is Grief, Despair, and Rejection. We're running 3 of this card. With Alchemagic, you have to bind a different order than the one that you activate, so you have to have a good variety of different numbers. And with cards like Shadow Cloak, being able to set them up in the drop zone, it just makes it that much easier. But 3 Grief, Despair, and Rejection. You play this card with a counterblast of 1. If your Vanguard's Mysterious Rain, Spiritualist, Zorga, choose 3 of your units, they get plus 10 till end of turn. Very, very useful when we use cards like Roaming Prison Dragon, since that additional plus 10 definitely does help for a 5k power unit. And for the next one, 2 of the Spiritual Body Condensation. With a Soul Blast of 1, you choose a card with equal, greater, or less than your Vanguard from your drop, call it to rear, and it gets plus 5,000. So this can make up for the Henrina retire. If you call a card off of Zorga, you can retire the Henrina you potentially call, and then just call another card with this card onto the field with plus 5,000 power. And Henrina's retire will get rid of the Soul Blast cost, so you won't have to pay for it either. Now, the rest of the orders we run are one-ofs. I run 1 Nectar of Sensationalism for the additional plus and critical to a rearguard. One of my favorites of the new ones I'm running is Gather Upon Me, You Wandering Souls. You discard an order from your hand and choose one of your Vanguards. It gets drive plus 1. Giving Zorga, triple drive is just added pressure that this deck definitely does need. And being able to either activate it from the hand for the discard, setting up another order in the drop, and then activating it from the drop zone as well. If we have those different orders, definitely does come in handy. And then also 1 Regurgitation from the Underworld for more retire power, calling rearguards from our opponent's field. And with different names, I'm also running 1 Whales Melt in the Sound of Rain. Your opponent chooses one of their rearguards and retires it, and you just choose up to 1 card from your drop zone with the same grade, and your opponent retired and call it to rear. Both good options. That's why I like running the 2 separate versions. So you have retire power thanks to the Alchemagic, choosing up to 2 instead of 1 with the Regurgitation, but the Whales doesn't really have a cost to use. Your opponent just chooses their rearguard for that one. And moving on now to the trigger lineup, I'm running 7 critical, 4 of the Aspiring Maiden Alana, just for the in-soul plus 2,000 power, giving us more soul blast skill for Henrina to prevent, and also 3 of the Abyss Temptation. I find the critical is just that much more pressure with the triple drive that you can also potentially give Zorga. I'm still running the 4 front triggers. Once again, you can hit pretty big numbers for your entire front row, so I just preferred Frenzied Eris over the new draw trigger we got in the set. The draws are too risky because you do, mill the top of your deck a lot, so you don't want to miss out on those draws and potentially deck out, since you will thin through the deck that much more quickly. For the heal, just the most fitting one is the Elegy Pixie. I do like the new heal we got from the set, but it is definitely a much more difficult one to get a full play set of. With the last trigger being the over trigger, the Source Dragon Deity of Blessings, Blessed Saver. This is actually the one I miss the most with an over trigger in any of my decks, just because I end up milling it more than I actually do end up revealing it or for the actual over trigger. But when I do, it definitely does help. More additional power, the heal, and the critical, you name it, all of them are a big plus. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. I always love Zorga. I think I've actually updated this deck after each set release. Definitely my favorite of the Stoicheia decks, and I hope you all enjoyed it as well. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.